It's time for more Manifesting Original Rich Bitch Experiences. Each week, we're talking travel, wellness, and millennial musings with a level of refinement. What level? It fucking depends. I'm your host, Ava Bilkey. Welcome back to the More Pod. It is another lovely week. The sun is shining, and I am packing my bags to get the fuck out of here. You know, I think that travel is the healthiest form of escapism, and I'm ready. I'm ready to escape. I'm currently in the process of packing, literally right now. And so I thought this week we could dedicate this episode to packing and specifically packing your checked bags. Now, I don't always travel with a checked bag. However, once I get past 7 to 10 days of travel time, I need a checked bag. I really need a checked bag because the level of stress and strain that comes from forcing yourself to just live out of a carry-on just so you can be a fucking carry-on warrior is not worth it. It's really not worth it. Also, I'm currently traveling in America, which means that, first of all, more is more, right? The bigger the better, more baggage. It also means that I'm not going to be dragging my luggage up and down hills, over cobblestones. You know, traveling in the US is very streamlined in the sense that you really shouldn't have to carry or roll your bags for more than like 15 feet at a time. I'm talking house to cab, cab to airport, airport to check baggage line, airport to baggage carousel to Uber, right? That's it. It's not that serious. All of this to say, I'm trying to find the bright sides to domestic travel here in the US. And accommodating baggage and having lots of baggage is one of those things that's very normal around here, and I'm fully leaning into it. So, why not do a little episode here on checked baggage? A few episodes back, earlier in the season, we went through the need to know when it comes to carry-on baggage. Everything that needs to be in your carry-on, important documents, jewelry, technology, supplements, medications, all of the things. So, naturally, the next step is to talk about what goes in the checked baggage, what the purpose is, how to optimize and pack smarter. We're packing smarter. We're not packing harder. We are packing smarter here, the checked baggage. And my goal is to share the things that I like to do with my checked bags with you. And if you find it useful, amazing. And if you're like, I prefer my current way, like that's cool too. So let's just get into it. When you have a checked bag, I think that oftentimes the mindset might be, well, whatever, just throw it in the checked bag, or I have a lot of space in there, just like throw it in there. Maybe I'll wear this thing, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll use this product, maybe I won't, but just throw it in there. And that is not the best mentality here. I think that just because we have a checked bag, we have some space, doesn't mean we can be any less thoughtful about how we're packing the bag, what goes in the bag, and really get thoughtful about it. The other thing I think that happens is, people get so stressed out about packing in general. And in that sort of bout of stress, they just sort of like buckle. They buckle under the pressure. And that's how you end up with a poorly packed bag full of shit that you never use, that you end up carrying around with you, wheeling from door to door, or carrying, depending on where you are. And we just don't need to be doing that. So packing is stressful, but it's not as stressful as fucking up the whole packing process. You know what I mean? The more thoughtful you can be about your checked baggage before you leave, the more stress free it's going to be throughout your travels. And that's nice because you don't want to be stressing out about your luggage at any point. And I think that a lot of stress can be avoided. So let's talk about the packing process here. First and foremost, packing starts with a lot of pre planning and organization. Before you even get out your bag, before you even put one single item in your bag, there's a lot of things that need to happen to have an efficiently packed checked luggage, okay? You may even want to start with a packing checklist. Now, I've packed my bags so many times now that I don't really need a checklist, but this can be really helpful, especially if you're somebody who stresses the fuck out about packing and then ends up, forgetting half the things you need. A packing checklist can be really awesome. I've also found that if I'm taking a specialized trip, if I'm doing something I don't normally do, for instance, a hiking trip, I actually do need a packing list because that's not a type of trip that I pack for on a regular basis. Like it's not natural for me to pack my hiking boots and 6 pairs of medium thickness hiking socks and a rain shell. And you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of equipment in a trip like that. So, depending on what you're doing, you might or you might not want a checklist. Like I said, I'm to the point where I'm beyond the checklist for most standard travel, but I do make a list of things that tend to be the things that I pack last that I always forget. One of those being a toothbrush, another one of those being a hairbrush. For some reason, the brushing just escapes me. Phone chargers, things like that I use up to the very last minute. I do make a list for that because I find that those are the things that I can sometimes forget. Whether you want to use a full on checklist or not, that's a great place to start. In addition to literally making a checklist, I think another key piece of the pre packing planning here is looking at the weather of your destination and also looking at your purpose of trip. So, for me at this point, I am on my way back to Palm Springs, California, and it's currently 100 degrees Fahrenheit in Palm Springs. So, that tells me a lot about what I'm going to need to pack. This is kind of a funny thing because right now I'm going to be traveling there from Minneapolis. I woke up, it was like 45 degrees Fahrenheit. 45. So I'm going from 45 to 100 degrees. And sometimes it's hard to change your mindset, right? Like I almost don't believe that I'll be wearing shorts tomorrow because I'm in my sweatsuit right now with full on socks because it's so fucking cold. And I'm resisting the urge to pack my sweats and like definitely not more than one pair, because right now I feel like I need them, but where I'm going, I will absolutely not want to see them for 5 seconds. And, sweats take up a lot of space in the checked bag. So having a good idea of the climate where you're going is a crucial part of the planning process before you even get to packing because it's going to dictate all the contents of your checked bag. Now, another piece of this planning is, of course, what's the purpose of your trip? So, if you're going on a work trip, you might pack different clothes than if you're going on vacation. Now, I've got a mixed purpose trip here. For the majority of the trip, I'm actually just going to be chilling, relaxing, working remotely from a warmer weather climate. But I do have 2 planned dinners, and then I'm actually going to make my way over to LA for a few days where I need to be wearing, outfits. Like there need to be some cute looks in this checked bag. So altogether, Out of my 3 weeks, I know that I have like 5 days where I have to be like full fitted. And I don't have to be, but I want to be, right? So full fits for 5 days. So if that's the most important thing going in my check bag, that's what I'm going to pull first. And so I've selected in my mind, like all this, all of the physical packing has to happen after this recording. But in my mind, I have selected these outfits. Okay. And so these get priority in the check bag. And basically, everything else I'm just going to fill in around, knowing that it's going to be 100 degrees in the desert. And I'm just going to be kind of like chilling, working. So, pre planning, knowing your climate, knowing your goal of trip and what outfits you need to prioritize. And then from there, making your checklist if you decide that you want one. Now, another huge piece of the pre packing process is doing your laundry. It's doing your laundry because you don't want to pack dirty clothes. I kid you not, like 6 loads of laundry yesterday. For some reason, I had worn everything that I own, basically. Or there were things that were sitting in my closet that I'm going to wear that were just not like the freshest. So the laundry is a full day's worth of pre planning, organization for your packing that I think a lot of people don't always take into consideration. It's part of the process. But I will say, when everything's clean and you fold it into your checked luggage, like there's nothing better than that feeling. While I am going through that process of laundry, kind of getting together my thoughts about what I want to pack, I also try things on. And this is really important as well because, again, if you pack something that doesn't end up fitting you, but you don't realize it until you're like ready to wear it, again, we're causing unnecessary stress and you've wasted space in your checked bag. So, not only is laundry super important, but then trying on these pieces that you're planning to wear to make sure that they do feel good, they do fit well, and that you'd actually wear it on your trip can sometimes be a bit of a reckoning. I'm not going to lie. But I'd rather find out that my pants don't fit before I pack them, you know? The laundry part of this pre packing process opens up a can of worms for me. So, yesterday, not only did I wash all of my clothes, but then I decided that I needed to clean all of my jewelry. Now, this is sort of a cadence that I have just adopted, and it's kind of routine now. And it's a little bit odd, and it does add additional stress to my packing process. But right before I leave on a trip, I decide to clean all of my jewelry. All of my earrings, I take them out of my ears, give them a good deep clean in solution so everything's shiny. I'm like polishing my silver rings, like I'm doing the most. But part of this process of pre-packing is really just like getting your things in order, you know? And for me, like having my jewelry clean in addition to having my clothes clean and like being ready to go, something about it just feels right. So I think there are a lot of sort of parallel, there's a lot of like parallel processes that start to happen in the packing process. Mind you, we haven't put a single fucking thing in the bag yet, right? It's really just the preparation. And if you take the time to do this type of preparation, whether you want to give yourself a manicure or not, whether you want to clean your jewelry or not, whatever this preparation process feels like, sounds like, looks like to you, it is worth the time because you just feel so good, right? You're getting ready to go out in the world to explore and you feel good about yourself because you've taken the time to get organized, give yourself some self care. And while it's not literal packing, I always take these steps before I put anything in my checked bag. And it just feels really good. I encourage you to think about what your pre packing, planning, and organization process could look like And just trust the process and know that the extra time and consideration you're putting into everything before you pack your bag is only going to make everything else just that much more efficient, truly. After we've got through all of this pre packing organization, it's time to choose your luggage. Now, if you just have one suitcase and you're like, I have nothing to choose from, like, that's perfect. You have eliminated one step in this process. I am somebody who has now accumulated a small fleet of luggage. I have a small fleet of millennial pink away luggage, and I fucking love it. Okay. I live for it. I never used to have like a luggage set. So maybe this is part of why I'm so excited about it. But I now have a carry on, a medium sized check bag, and a large sized check bag. Now, for me, this means I have to decide which size bag I want to bring on this trip because I know I'm going to check a bag. I could either check my medium size bag or my large size bag. And frankly, I don't know yet. After this, I have to get them both out, kind of roughly lay things out, and just see which one feels like the right move for this trip. I'm undecided. The medium sized bag is like what most people would probably carry as a checked luggage size. I don't know the exact dimensions, but the large bag is large. And the only reason why I even have this large bag is because last summer I lived out of suitcase and I absolutely had to have the large bag. See, but right now I'm not living out of my bags. So I have to decide which ones I want to take. But this again is another important part of packing your checked bag because airlines have rules. Airlines have rules about luggage, sizes, weight restrictions. Depending on the airline, you may or may not have to pay to check your bags. So, this again is something that we don't want to skip over. I'm flying Delta and I have the Delta Amex credit card. So, for me, this means that I get one personal item and one carry on for free automatically. And then I get up to 2 free checked bags with the credit card. So, any way we splice this, I'm not going to have to pay for bags. The only scenario in which I'd have to pay for my checked baggage is if that suitcase that I decide to check is over 50 pounds. If I choose the medium bag, highly unlikely that I could get over 50 pounds. If I choose the large bag and I fill that thing up, it's a possibility. So it's important to look at your airline's restrictions around baggage because it's not fun to pay for bags. $100, $200 for baggage, that's something that will really have you questioning your life choices. You know, like, did you really need the third pair of sneakers? Not for $100 each way. So, selecting your baggage is an important consideration. Now, my little fleet is the type of bag that's like a hard shell. It's lightweight hard shell. And I prefer to travel with this kind of bag because it takes up the least amount of weight of like your total baggage allowance, right? Because it's really light. But also, the outside is a little more protective because it does have that hard shell. And I also love these bags because they all have 4 wheels. And so they're really easy to maneuver around on smooth surfaces, at least through the airport and hotels, wherever I need to pull them. The other option, of course, is a duffel bag. I don't get the duffel bag thing. Like, wouldn't you rather roll your belongings or you really want to have them like on your shoulder? You know, I see the girlies with the Louis Vuitton duffel bags or the Gucci duffel bags. It's like, yes, babe, like you look cute. That's a cute bag, but you also have to carry that bag. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. That's my personal preference is the hard shell roller luggage. Anyways, choosing our luggage, looking at your airline's luggage requirements, there's weight requirements, sometimes there's size requirements, like how tall it can be, how wide it can be. You want to look into all of that before you travel. And if you're in a situation where you are traveling more than one airline, or say you're going to be using an airline and a train, like you want to look up the restrictions for all of your modes of transportation and make sure that you are meeting the most restrictive mode of transportation. Does that make sense? So, say, for example, your first flight allows you your personal item, a carry on, and two checked bags. But maybe after that, you're taking like a little small connector plane to somewhere else. And this small connector plane only allows you one carry on item and one checked bag. That's going to change your whole plan. So you've got to look into all of your transportation luggage requirements and make sure that you're accommodating the most restrictive one. So that's on choosing the right luggage. Now, after we've done all of our planning, all of our luggage selection, you're like, finally, are we packing the bag? Yes, we are packing the checked luggage. So, when it comes to packing, I have a few techniques. I have a few strategies that I have tested and have proven to be really helpful for me. I'm going to share them with you, and hopefully, these will save you a little stress, a little space, a little bit of consideration the next time that you pack. First and foremost, I cannot emphasize enough packing cubes. Packing cubes are my nomadic dresser. Packing cubes are my boyfriend. Packing cubes are my everything. Listen, before I had packing cubes, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. There's no way that this little piece of fabric with a zipper can change my life. Boy, was I wrong, because packing cubes are life changing. And I am not exaggerating when I say this. Packing cubes have changed the game when it comes to my checked luggage, not only from the point of being able to fit everything I want to pack in the bag, but also just from an organization standpoint. While I'm traveling, it creates an organization system. So you know where everything is in your bag. And there's nothing worse than like having a bag that you can't find something in, right? Because you're like, it's in here. I packed it. I know it's here somewhere. Where the fuck are my purple socks, right? With packing cubes, you would know that your purple socks are in the sock cube. So, a set of packing cubes, first and foremost, is the most important building block for your checked bag. And they come in all different sizes, all different shapes. You could get them in different colors. You can really do whatever you want with them. I love to designate one packing cube for each type of clothing. So I'll use my biggest packing cube for pants or bottoms. And then I will use another cube for swimsuits. Like I'll have a little cube for swimsuits, right? Because swimsuits don't take up that much space. And then I have a cube designated for socks and underwear. Sometimes I do socks and underwear together. Sometimes I'll do socks and no. Sometimes I'll do socks on their own, and then I'll do like underwear and workout wear together in one. So like the sports bras are with the other bras. But it just depends on, again, the purpose of my trip and how long I'm going for. But I know when I'm looking for my black bikini that it's going to be in the swimsuit cube. This is a game changer. I put everything in packing cubes except for my tops. I have a different technique that I learned for tops that I absolutely love, and I'll share with you in just a second. But packing cubes, please use them. Please try them. Please love them as much as I do. They seriously are, they're like the silent MVP of check luggage. Now, when it comes to your other clothing items, there's typically two parties. There's the rollers and then there's the folders. I do something in between. And this is a tip that I learned from Amanda Busby, who I had on the show a few weeks ago. We talked all about capsule wardrobes. This is something that she taught me when we were pulling together my capsule wardrobe and we were packing it up in a suitcase. So for all of my shirts and all of my dresses, I will fold them and then I'll stack them, but then I'll flip them on their side and I'll put them into my bag in such a way that the folds of every shirt is facing up and it looks like a bookcase. So my shirts, my dresses, typically I fold them all this way and I put them into the bag as if I'm putting a book on a shelf. This creates so much more space and it allows you to see all of your tops in a very easy row. So the folds in all of your shirts, all of your dresses, everything you decide to fold should actually look like, the spine of a book sticking up, sticking out of your suitcase. I hope I'm explaining this in a way that it makes sense because it's something you should really try. This is a game changer. So we've got our packing cubes, we've got our bookshelf shirt technique. Now there's just a few other, I hate the word hacks, but some little hacks that I'll share with you when it comes to other things like shoes, toiletries, other random packables. If you are checking a bag, I'm willing to bet that you are planning to pack full-sized toiletries. We're talking shampoo, conditioners, lotions, deodorants. There's no limit, right? Because when you do carry on only, you have to stuff everything in that little 311 TSA bag. But when you check a bag, you can bring full size liquids. Thank God. I mean, this is one of the best parts of checking a bag, obviously. Now, since we don't want to have an overweight bag, I've developed a little process for the toiletries. What I like to do to save space and weight when it comes to toiletries, although we have the freedom to pack full bottles, my rule of thumb is only packing full bottles of things that you use daily or multiple times a day. If it's not something that you use daily or multiple times a day, you can still pack a travel size. Let me give you an example. I have naturally curly, dry hair. And so I only shampoo and condition my hair once a week. I also have really naturally dry skin, which means I moisturize my face twice a day. That means when I'm going to pack my checked bag today, I am doing travel sized shampoo and conditioner. Because again, I'm only going to use it 3 times in 3 weeks. But I am going to use the space for my full size face products. So rather than just wasting the space with a full size shampoo and conditioner, I'm making everything count. Going through all of your toiletries and deciding what you use daily or multiple times a day versus what you use more sparingly, and then going through the process of still packing a travel size only for the toiletries you use sparingly is a great tip to save you space and also weight in your checked bag. And this has been super helpful for me. And this is something that I've learned like just in the last couple of years. And I think it works really, really well. When it comes to shoes, this is another area where it can be really hard to decide what to pack. And it can also be a really hard truth when you learn that your bag is overweight if you pack too many shoes. I also find it really irritating to pack a pair of shoes that you never wear one time. For some reason, that bothers me more than most things. Typically, for me, this happens with high heels. In some situations, I convince myself that I need to pack heels. And I don't know why, because I haven't worn high heels since pre-2020. I kid you not. But sometimes I find myself in my head about that potential situation where I want a pair of heels. Every time I pack them, they're a weird shape. They don't pack well. They don't really fit nicely into a checked bag. They can be heavy and they're just unnecessary. They're literally dead weight. So, shoes are an area of discernment. Now, I do have to be looking cute for a few days. I've decided that I'm going to bring a very clunky pair of boots. These are going to be my only special occasion shoe. Other than that, I'm going a pair of sandals and a pair of sneakers. Just one. This is pretty much the limit. I wouldn't recommend packing more than two pairs of shoes. Three would be like really pushing it. Something else that can be helpful is wearing your heaviest pair of shoes. I've thought about this. There's no way I'm going to wear my chunky boots on the plane. I just can't I can't muster up the energy to do so on my flight tomorrow. But if I needed the weight, if I needed the space, I would do it. Maybe on the way home, I'll have to wear these boots. We'll see. But this is another tip, if you will, when it comes to optimizing your bag. Same goes for your full outfit. Thinking about your plain outfit and, wearing your clunkiest jacket, the heaviest boots, your thickest sweater. Sometimes it's really helpful to wear those pieces on the plane that don't pack so well. There are a couple of other tips and tricks that I have discovered for the checked bag. When it comes to organizing some of your smaller items and accessories, similar to the packing cube mentality, I like to bag and group things together. I have these little zipper pouches that I like to organize things in. So, for example, I have one pouch that's dedicated to hair accessories, ponytail holders, bobby pins, claw clips, everything related to my hair that's an accessory goes in the hair bag. I will also do this for anything else I choose to bring in my checked bag. Sometimes I have a bag of essential oils and they're all grouped together. Sometimes I'll have a little bag of nail care. I love to group things by category because, again, it makes it so much easier to find things. The more that you can sort of group and store similar items together in your checked baggage, the easier that is for organization purposes and just for really seeing what you're bringing with you. And I also find that when I am doing that grouping, it helps me to eliminate other things. So when I'm packing that hair pouch and I see all of a sudden, because they're all together, that I'm packing like 4 claw clips, it's like, wait, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I need to pick two. So this can be another helpful process to eliminate some of your duplicate items, some of the things that really aren't necessary. And I just love this for overall organization. Another tip when it comes to packing things is that I like to consolidate anything that comes in a box into a bag. So if I'm going to pack a box of tampons, I'm going to take them out of the box they come in and I'm going to put them in like a Ziploc like freezer bag. And the reason why I do that is because it's a lot easier to pack a soft surface bag than it is to pack a square, rigid box with four corners. And so, this is another tip that I think is so incredibly helpful when it comes to your checked bag. And lastly, I would add that it's helpful when you are doing checked baggage to just kind of run back through everything that is going in your checked bag versus what should be in your carry on. And sometimes at the end of packing, I will actually do a little bit of equalizing. So there are certain things that should never go in your checked bag. And we talked about that when it came to the packing tips for carry ons. I think it's episode 32. But, jewelry, for example, your laptop, your electronics, your important documents, your medications, your supplements, All of that should always be with you on person in your carry-on bag. Outside of those essentials, if you have space in your carry-on, you can play with kind of moving things between your carry-on and your checked bag. Obviously, your full-size liquids have to stay in your checked bag, but if and when you are traveling with both carry-on and checked baggage, another helpful tip at the end of the day, at the end of your packing, when you're like, okay, like I have everything where it needs to be, but I'm a little bit worried, for example, about the weight of my checked bag, but I have space in my carry-on, I'm going to take a couple items out and move them onto the carry-on so that I don't go over the weight limits for the checked bag. I love to do this at the end of the packing process of the checked bag just to double check everything's where it's supposed to be. And also, you're kind of balancing the weight of your possessions between bags. Or if there's something that you really love and you'd be so heartbroken if it got lost in your checked bag for a day, you got to move that to your carry-on. So this is a great thing to do at the end of the packing process. And it just brings a little bit of balance to the whole situation. So those are what I'd consider some of my packing techniques for the checked bag. Checking baggage in some ways can feel stressful, but the more planning that you do in advance of packing and checking the bags, the easier it's all going to be. As long as you know what you're working with, you've got sort of a clear list, maybe in your head or literally on paper, you're setting yourself up for success. And the goal with really packing smarter with your luggage is to take the stress off of yourself in the travel process. The last thing you want to be doing is worrying about or being irritated with your baggage while you're literally on a trip. That's not what trips are about. You want to have everything with you that you need, nothing with you that you don't need. And the more organized your bags are, the better. With that, I've got to get to packing. I hope that you found this helpful in some way for your next packing, your next trip adventure. Thank you, as always, for listening. I really appreciate the time and energy that you spend here with the More Pod every single week. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple, 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you want to hear more of. And I'll catch you next week. Listen to the More Pod every Wednesday as I share the things that make me more me and discover a thing or two to make you more you.